Well, good morning, everybody. This is Rob Godlewski with the Think Small podcast. And today, our guest is Kim Casineau with a coding house based in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. Kim has a really amazing story here, and I'm just excited to share your story with the Think Small podcast audience. So let's go ahead and get started. So tell me, Kim, how did you get started with this business?
Hi, Rob. So nice to be here, and thank you for wanting to know my story and share it. I started with this company 9.5 years ago, just by happenstance. I was looking to buy a company in order to help residents of our local YWCA facility, which is an organization that helps young women who are survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking. I knew there was a need, and I thought that I could help mentor them and help give them, some tools to how to navigate coming out of a difficult situation. You can always have the opportunity to change your story. So I'm doing
Mhm.
just as bad as you did in the intro.
No worries.
Edit. Um, that was my initial reasoning for wanting to start a company. So when I was doing some research, I was thinking like medical coding, medical transcription, more female-based companies, businesses,
Hmm.
models. And I knew the second owner of this organization. And when he learned of my desire to buy a company, he's like, the coding house would be a great fit. And he was selling it. Looks shocker. Because of the type of work we do, it lends itself. It's a lot of intricacy, dexterity, smaller hands to be, agile and fast. So I knew he owned the company because I had known him for years, but I didn't know what it did. So I came and observed, walked around. I had no idea this was even a thing. I wasn't in manufacturing. I wasn't in business, my whole life. So like people pay you to do this? Interesting. So the more I learned, and I just thought I've always had a mind for business and a desire to own business, but I raised a
Hmm.
family at different time in life. So this was the time, and the opportunity presented itself. So I observed while in class. I wasn't back at school, and then about a few weeks later, I Googled how to fund a small business, and I
Oh
bought
my goodness. That's amazing. So from a philanthropic start, you ended up buying a industrial wholesaler manufacturer of fasteners, nuts, bolts, screws. So tell me more about the unique, value add that your business does to the fasteners that you manage.
Well, actually, we are an authorized service center for Henkel pre-applied products. That was what the business was. So we were not a supplier. We coded other customers' parts. So there was
Oh,
nine.
understood. Okay.
Yeah, there's 8 now. They consolidated. So there's 8 authorized centers in the country. We're the only one on the East Coast. And for the last 9.5 years, the only one 100% woman owned. So one of the reasons I thought the industry was so large, I said, I don't need to tell people in the industry that they need this. They already know they need it. I need to tell them that I'm here and I do it. So that's when I'm like, I can do that. And about a year and a half into it, because of my business model and my philanthropic desire, when I first took over, there was no really way to know when customers' parts were coming to us. We only had one customer that was a weekly sell that we actually delivered for them. So literally, I'm waiting for customers to send me parts, and then we coat them. But I needed, in order to grow into, I wanted to create labor opportunities. I needed to take charge of that. So in 2018, we became ISO certified. We didn't have that.
That's a
Created
huge
a
effort.
website. Yeah,
Congratulations.
we created a website. There was no website, and also started an inventory. We became a fastener source. So, and we started with an
Right.
inventory. We started creating our own inventory, and I trademarked the term PACT, which is the acronym PAACD, and that stands for pre-applied adhesive coated, like an apostrophe. And PACT fasteners was born. So we, in 2018, late 2018, 2019, we started with our first customer who he gave us this whole bomb. And It was born. So now we have over 700 SKUs of inventory parts we buy on behalf of our customer.
Sure, sure.
It's pretty amazing.
And
How
then
much
apply
we
this
grow.
unique coating and deliver those back to the customer.
And not even, sometimes now we supply other small hardware
Oh,
or other
great.
parts without coating. So we do
Yeah,
dowel pins, O-rings, rivets, all kinds of things. And some screws we sell without coating. We are that competitive with, true fastener distributors in pricing and turnaround time. So
right.
that's been a really big advantage for us. Um, so that's kind of how that was.
So we kind of accidentally glossed over, I think, a really important part of the business's value, and that is you do have a major supply agreement with a company called Henkel, and they're a
Correct.
European company, but they have a very, very well-known brand here in the United States in the industrial spaces. What is that brand?
Well, we use the pre-applied Loctite products. So they were created originally back in the 60s and 70s for automotive assembly line,
Sure,
right? So it was to have a color-coded system. Everybody knew that they were a standardized application, so they were going to perform to the torque, requirements and that was necessary or called for, and you could see at a glance. You weren't going to put one in to an assembly if it was bare. Oh, this one needs Loctite. So we
right.
took that application where we still do a lot of OEM work and automotive parts, but we have kind of replaced the liquid bottle, the tiny little bottles of Loctite
Sure,
for those people, and we have a lot of contract manufacturers we work for, and taken that small little sticky bottle of chemicals that's a mess and everything else, and we have been able to change it out for a comparable pre-applied. So they have
Hmm.
the value of having parts, totally standardized applications. You can see at a glance that they're all coated. They're all coated the same way, so they're going to perform the same way. That has been a big welcome in the industry. And the fact that we not only supply the coating, but now the fastener, we dialed back on lead times tremendously for our customers, which is always appreciated, and shipping costs. They're not zigzagging it across the country.
Exactly.
So it's been a really great service to offer, and our customers have definitely responded and expanded because of it.
Of course, of course. And for those in our audience that don't that aren't in the industrial space,
Mhm.
Loctite as a brand is basically the Kleenex of the industrial industry.
Yeah,
So it's a
exactly.
very,
It's a
very
thread
valuable
locker.
brand to have.
It's an anaerobic thread locker, and we also have sealant. So there's other products out there. Other companies have their
Mhm.
own version of it, but I always say imitation is the highest form of flattery. So
I
we
would agree
have
with that.
we have the Loctite brand, so we're very proud to represent them, and we follow all their guidelines. So they send customers our way as well who are looking for whatever they reach out, because as you can imagine, the customer service line in Henkel is very busy.
Of
So
course, of course.
it's a nice relationship, and we value that with Henkel Loctite.
That's wonderful. So you've been leading the business for approximately 10 years now, correct?
Yep,
And
nine and a
over
half.
those
Yep.
10, yeah, 9.5 years. So over those 9.5 years, I mean, you've probably seen some up cycles and some down cycles, some challenging periods of the business. Let's first talk about those periods where you were a little more challenged, and I'm sure that our recent experience with COVID is probably one of those. So let's talk
Absolutely.
about that for a minute.
Well, initially it was a challenge because this was not my space. So like I said, I've been a consumer my whole life, so I kind of understand the mind of a consumer. Um, doesn't matter the industry, I believe. It's like honesty, transparency, and good good products, and you'll make people happy, regardless
Sure.
of the industry. So I brought that to the table, but also learning the industry of the technicality of it. I'm not an engineer, but I understand more about screws, nuts, and torque testing and breakaway torque or prevailing torque than I ever thought I would know. Um,
I'm sure.
and just the challenges of growing, managing a team, the ebbs and flows of the environment, and COVID was absolutely that for us. And we were considered essential, so we couldn't close, nor did I want to, thank goodness. But we actually grew because a lot of companies did close. And just trying to navigate, just in time inventory. That's a good one.
Hmm.
I don't know who came up with that concept. It's just like add stress to the team. I'm not about
Exactly.
that. So I kind of do things in a different way than what the industry would normally do, I would say, which makes me me. Um, but definitely, trying to manage our vendors. We work with custom manufacturers as well on behalf of our customers. So we had not a lot, we had a few customers who were pretty significant for us over order for
Mm.
COVID, right? They were worried lead time. So, and then we found they over ordered so much, then they didn't order. So they taxed out our custom manufacturers, right? They're trying to keep up with the demand. And then they went silent because now they overbought. So that's
Right.
a lot. Yeah. So that was a lot as far as just navigating, cash flow, resources.
Sure.
So I don't have a formal education in business, and I like to say, doing this, I'm getting an MBA in real time. And yeah,
Uh-huh.
and that's what I'm
Yes,
doing.
you
So
are.
I'm navigating and learning. I have great support, and I'm not afraid to ask for help. So it's been a great experience. Even with the challenges, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, so you navigated, the global pandemic pretty well. You said you actually grew through it
We did.
by offering your customers a little bit more value than other people who were maybe a little more constrained. But and you're still growing. Let's talk about your, coming out of COVID, your continued growth trajectory.
Yes, well, the website and actually the first time I hired a marketing company was probably in 2022. So I
Hmm.
didn't market anything other than the website. So that, and then word of mouth, I think. And then we've gone to some trade shows. So we put ourselves out there as business grew. I saw the need and the value of reinvesting in equipment. We've had new equipment made. Our team has expanded. And now I mentioned to you earlier that we are taking over another 4,000 square feet in the building.
That's exciting. Yes.
That is exciting. So,
Revenue growth begets physical growth.
yes. And we are expanding, not written in stone yet, but I'm 99.9% sure we will actually now be manufacturing certain screws.
We talked about that. So this is, in a sense, your third operational transition, right? The first was from adding value to customers' existing parts. The second then is bringing in those raw parts and then adding your value and then shipping to customers. And now you're actually going to be manufacturing the parts in the first place. Then, of course, adding the value with the Loctite adhesive and then shipping to your customers. Let's talk about that for a moment. That's a big change.
It is, but it's taken me, I've had somebody reach out to me last year and kind of plant the seed, and I was first like, oh no, we can't do that. And for me, I have to process, I have to think about it and understand the opportunity and not be afraid of it. So being in this business as long as I have and just knowing, lead times are critical. Lead time supersedes price in a lot of cases, right?
Absolutely.
Because if it's lying down, it doesn't matter. It's
That's
just
right.
amazing how unmanaged inventory becomes, tries to become my problem. And I'm like, no, no, if you didn't plan, I will help you, but let's talk about your plan. Let's to avoid the crisis, in my opinion. So stepping into that space, I don't know how it's going to work yet, Rob. I don't have all the answers, but I know, just like it's happened for us this far, once we set up and once we're able to do what we do well, we're another supplier in the chain that needs to happen. So
Right.
it's going to be beneficial to the company and therefore my team. So how could I couldn't let fear stop me from this opportunity.
That's just a tremendous approach you've taken, and one that I don't think a lot of business owners would be willing to leap off and into the deep end for. So I really have to hand it to you for that decision. And
Thank you.
again, this is the third major operational transition you've been through. So in 9.5 years, that's a lot.
For a company that's been
But
around for 45, yeah, right?
exactly. So in that timeline, it's even more impressive. But so you've been there. I think we talked earlier about you when you came into the business and bought the business. You first had a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. But then the first time we chatted, you mentioned, well, now I'm at almost 10 years, and now I've got another 5-year plan, which has a really different focus for the business. So let's talk about a little bit the first 10-year plan we kind of have already.
Yeah.
But then going into the next 5 years, what does that look like for you and the business?
Well, I gave myself 10 years because I was in my early 50s. So I said, okay, if I do this for the next 10 years, just get through, learn, try to make myself, build a retirement and things like that. That's all I was, trying to get to that stage. But I like what I do. Some days more than others. But the opportunity to build a team and to have that camaraderie and to also use our resources in the community has been very fulfilling for me personally. So I want to continue in that vein. And the fact that this opportunity to actually become a manufacturer presented itself, why stop the train now?
That's amazing. That's
Right?
amazing.
That's kind
But
of how I look at it. And then the different associations or people that I've got to meet somebody like you know what I mean? So I'm in spaces that I would never have been had I not taken this leap of faith 9.5 years ago.
that's amazing.
So I continue to be honored and, welcoming to meet people, in the space and who want to know my story and our company's story. I think it's great. And if, I can encourage, I don't care if it's a woman or a man, to take a leap because, you don't have to do things the way things have always been done. I never was that person. So it's interesting that it can be applicable in this space, right?
Right.
And that's kind of one of the messages I really want to get out to a lot of the younger people.
Right. But you're also investigating a change of ownership structure in the business as well, aren't you?
Yes, yes.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Thank you. Well, that was always my goal because I didn't get to where we are by myself. So my team has been instrumental to our growth. And I have a couple of people who've been here with me since the beginning. So nothing happens individually here. And I always say we have the shop side and the admin side. I go both sides of the house. Not one is more important than the other. We work together. So my entry level person is equally important to the team as my, operations manager and my admin. So that's my belief. So I'm going to try. I'm looking into, not this year because we're doing the expansion and adding another venue, but I have been in talks, just putting it on the back burner for now, to have some type of employee ownership either an ESOP program or a
Wow.
cooperative. There's many different avenues to go. So when the exit happens for me, whether I stay, I have no idea what it's going to look like. Can't think
Sure.
about it right now, but the team will benefit who's had loyalty and put their time and effort in here.
I think that speaks to your philanthropic center that you came from in the first place, right? So that's really impressive and impactful, and I know your employees and future employees are going to really value from that. So
I hope so, because we couldn't do it without them.
well, you're going to be going through an interesting journey in navigating, an ownership structure change. So I'm sure that's going to be valuable for our podcast listeners as you go through this. I think there's a lot of people who will probably want to help you out, and that's
I
great.
would love that. I would love to. And this is another thing I find, right? It's so interesting. I'm very blessed that when people hear my story, they want to help. So
Right.
I'm so grateful for that. And that's also another message I try to get through to young people. It's like, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be, take it, because I don't need to recreate the wheel. I don't need to know everything. I need to align myself with people who similar values, smarter than me, which there are the majority of people are. So, and what can I learn from them? So that's what excites me, why I stay. I'm like, another 5 years, I'm gonna learn how to make screws, for crying out loud. Okay, what does that look like?
Good
You
for
ever
you.
told me when I was a young girl that, oh, I'm gonna, no, no, this would have not been the vision. So, but it's
Right,
interesting, and
right.
I'm very grateful for it.
Well, that's wonderful. And you know what? You've in going through this growth phase, you've actually for a I'll call it a regional supplier of goods,
Hmm.
you've landed some pretty big whales, I'll call them.
Yes,
Um,
yes, we have.
talk about that large customer you landed and another large customer you're hopefully about to land.
Yes. So the large customer, they were instrumental in helping us push us to way before it was going to be mandated to become CMMC compliant or start that down that train. It was
Mm,
a requirement to work with them. They're a DoD contractor, and
mm,
they it was amazing how quickly we got in place and got our systems in place, worked with a local IT company who is very versed in CMMC implementation, and it's been amazing. Has it grown with that company? Not as much as I thought, and nor did he. The original, we had many conversations with engineers, and he was our champion. I mean, there's a quote from him on our website, but he says, he's like, where do you go? He goes, it's easier to work with a small company sometimes. He goes, because you can turn the ship quicker. In other words, if there's a
mhm.
problem, as opposed to going through court. And I've experienced that. I'm sure everybody, probably all of your listeners have as well, either professionally or personally.
Sure we have.
So the fact that he appreciates that, and he's like, in his testimonial, he's like, well, where do you go? Is you call a company, you actually get the president on the phone or the general manager who's making decisions. So we can make split decisions instantly. And that's the draw for some of these large contractors. Yeah, and we're hoping, fingers are crossed here, then one that we're anticipating comes through soon. I can update your people when a time comes. I'd be happy to. A couple other things have positively happened that I can't share just yet.
No problem.
They're not made public, but they'll be public soon, and I'm sure you'll know.
That's great. Well, so that one customer actually got you in a position to earn more business from other like customers because of that
Correct.
certification.
Correct. Because he thought it was going to be more within his organization, and it's a very bureaucratic organization, so
Sure.
many different things. But because of that, and now especially because now the CMMC requirement is mandated as of November 2025.
Mm,
So there's some companies who are just starting the process. So I have like a 5 year curve ahead. So
ahead
I
of your
anticipate
competition. That's
more
great.
business coming our way in this space, simply for the fact that if they are other fastener suppliers aren't ready with the CMMC requirements, then they won't be able to use them.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, you also mentioned, and you don't have to mention them by name, but you also
Mhm.
mentioned a large industrial catalog supplier that kind of took your business from a regional supply or customer base to a national one.
Oh, I can say
And
their name up there. We're shouting them out on our website. Yes, so
that's great.
McMaster-Carr, which is a global brand, um,
Absolutely.
they reached out to us this time last year and inquired about certain types of bolts, serrated flange bolts with a particular medium strength thread locker on it. They wanted to offer on their webpage, on their website. So we went through the whole thing, we talks and everything, and they placed their first order with us in November of 2025.
Fantastic.
And they've placed subsequent orders repeat. So we did like 28 SKUs for them of that one type of bolt. So different lengths,
Okay.
diameters, but just that genre. And we haven't filled all of those 28 yet, but we have done repeats of some of they've already ordered. So they're selling. So we're hoping to get on, like I said, we were on Granger, but I haven't. McMaster-Carr does their own work in loading all their products. So Granger does not.
Right.
I have to do that. But I'm looking forward to McMaster-Carr to offering other SKUs, different types of screws to their customers at smaller quantities. The benefit for that is a lot of customers do R&D prototyping work. We'll use a McMaster-Carr or some type of catalog fastener supplier initially because they can get small quantities real quickly.
Certainly.
So once they do testing, things of that nature, then they're looking for a larger supplier. And that's where we'll come in. So we're going to definitely tie ourselves to McMaster-Carr to just let their customers know that they can come to us later for larger
Sure.
quantities. And then expose them to other different types of strengths of thread lockers or sealants, because right now we only supply them with a 202, a Loctite 202, which is a medium strength.
Right. So your McMaster-Carr customer is really the R&D team or the engineering team of a product manufacturer. And you're right. The engineering team only needs maybe 10 fasteners of a certain type. They don't need 2,000.
Correct.
But when that product gets
we get orders for up to 400,000 from some customers.
I'm sure you do.
So, and that's just it. We will do under 1,000. We have a minimum lot charge, whether we're applying just coating or we're doing the parts with the coating on them. So, but we go that all the way up. So there's no job too small. We do free samples, up to 25 parts for people. If we provide the screw, we'll charge, but if it's just coating, we will coat for free to help somebody, because we want them to test in their environment. We also can do testing and stuff in our facility, but we always encourage a customer to do testing in their environment, in their assembly, so they're getting an actual a real-time test result in the actual assembly they're creating.
And do you also maybe work with the engineering team about the application to help them understand what the right product would be, rather than just them testing 3 to 5 different parts and picking what they think is right?
Absolutely. My general manager, Harley, and Kata, myself as time, depending upon, we have many engineering meetings and offer solutions, because sometimes they're not getting the lock they want. It could be just the tolerances between, if it's not a custom made part, if it's a cost part, commercial off the shelf, that has a bearing on it. So we offer definitely our expertise in helping product select and product avoid. And sometimes we help engineers too. Our engineers are very creative, and sometimes things are overthought, if I can say that with diplomacy. And sometimes simple is better.
Yes.
Right. And sometimes we find engineers, design parts that they call out standards that it's not applicable for the basic material they're using or things like that. So we help them in many ways. We're part of the IFI, International Fasteners Institute. So we subscribe to their catalog. I've had people go out and train to become fastener specialists. So I invest in my team so that we can be the best that we can and have knowledge. And if we don't have it, where do we go to find it, so we can help our customer make good choices?
That's amazing. Kim, I really appreciate your time and your story. Is there anything else about your journey or your business that you'd like to share with the listening audience?
I think that, I would say that if you got an idea, you got something that pulls on your heart, just trust yourself and go do it. Don't let fear hold you back. Because the world needs people to step into their path. Or I don't want to get too spiritual here, but it's we're here to contribute in some fashion. And for me, it's to use my gifts, and I do have an acumen for business, it seems, that I've always known. I just never put it to the test until the last 10 years. But then, my thing is, I'm the antithesis of what this corporate stuff seems to be all about, right? And I don't judge, but I take pride in it. I don't need more than I need. So let's help as many people as we can on the journey. You can't take anything with you when you go, right, Rob?
No, you can't. I heard that analogy said in a little bit different way. Yeah. When your hearse is driving down the road, it's not going to have a U-Haul trailer behind it.
Amen.
And I love that. I just heard this last week.
So much overabundance, and it's like also too, I'm not afraid to fail, right?
Right.
I think a lot of people stay comfortable but unhappy because it's
Mhm.
like they know their little zone or comfort zone. To grow is a challenge, right? And you usually don't grow in when everything's hunky dory. It's usually in a challenging time you have to pivot.
That's right.
Right.
And failing fast is something I always um, recommend to my clients. Failing
Try it.
fast, learn from it, try it. When you realize it doesn't work, just don't do it again.
Right. It's not, that's not the worst thing, but, and that's not really worrying about, the eyes of others for your own value, right? 'Cause I think people give power away to society or others to say, oh,
Right.
no, there's no. Unless you walk the path, a lot of people have a lot to say from the sidelines. Oh, you should do this and that. Well, are you in it? You're not in it. You're still, you're doing something different. You're staying in your little comfort zone, but telling it. So I just say thank you, and I keep doing my own thing.
That's great. I love that.
You
Well,
know,
listen, for our audience, if anybody is in need of specialty coated fasteners with pre-applied adhesive coated fasteners specifically, contact Kim at thecoatinghouse.com and she'll be able to take care of all your needs. Well,
thank you,
Kim,
Rob. But I
thank
would
you.
add one caveat to that. We're
Sure.
more than just coated fasteners. We do all fasteners.
I appreciate that clarification.
Yes, because we're trying to grow that side of our business as well.
Yep.
Because and that's grown organically, and I don't want to, if we're running over, it's
No,
because
we're fine.
customers who had used us for coating and had all these, of course, there's other fasteners and there's bombs and things like that. And I'm like, wait a minute, let me see if I can source that for you. And they were pleasantly surprised how competitive or better pricing we were. And they love our service. I will say our service is, that's the top of the thing that for me, all my team knows it. It's all about quality and service, because if our customers, word of mouth is the best marketing. And
It
just be
is. It
genuine,
is.
to be genuinely being supportive
Word of
is great.
mouth and referrals are your most sticky customers for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Rob, thank you so much for this time to allow me to share what we do here in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. And it was great chatting with you. And yeah, I'll keep you posted on all the new things coming up in the next 6 months.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Kim. Again, thank you for your time. We appreciate hearing your story and your journey, and we look forward to the coating house actually becoming a manufacturer. So that'll be exciting.
It's pretty cool. It is. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.